So we're going to start, and we have a few quick announcements, and then we'll get underway. And so if we could start, if you could raise your hand if you've never come to a Rise Up Mystic meeting ever in your life. Outstanding, great. Welcome. So if you don't know, we're a progressive organization that began on the eve or right after the election of Donald Trump. We were very disheartened and very sad, and this is our therapy. We come together once a month and we work on progressive issues. And with the elections coming up, we are currently laying the groundwork for a successful election year. So if you really want to make a difference, come to our future meetings, because we're going to have signups and we're going to get rolling. And we're not going to have a repeat of 2016. No way. So I always forget to say my name too. I'm Jason, so if anybody has any questions, you can see me after. Let's see. I'll skip this, I'll skip that. I'll skip that too. You guys don't need any of this.
Okay, with that?
Who knows? A couple of quick. There's nothing on this. It's blank. My kid drew a picture. I'm looking at it. That's all there's on this. So you should know that one of the things that I really like about Rise Up Mystic is that we have a lot of access to our local legislators. So they're not here tonight because they're at various meetings. But all 4 of the local legislators in this area were at our last meeting. And so tomorrow night, they're all going to be together. Christine Conley asked me to share with you an invitation to the beginning of session town hall. It's a meeting at the Stonington Community Center. You don't have to be a Stonington resident. Representative Anthony Nolan will be there, Representative Kate Rotella, Representative Christine Conley, and Representative Joe De La Cruz will all be there to answer your questions about specific policies or about the state of the state or whatever you can think of to throw at them. So great meeting. That's tomorrow night at the Stonington Community Center, 6:30 to 7:30. We also have a Rise Up Mystic member. I'm going to make this announcement for her. Her way of dealing with all the shenanigans in the world is she started her own yoga practice. And so Charlotte Kading, who's one of our original founders, Sunday nights at 6:45, and you guys know where the old Mystic General Store is? I did not know this, but apparently there's a second floor, and on that second floor, they have a yoga studio. So you can go downstairs and get some Twinkies and some ice cream, and then you can go upstairs and do yoga. So 6:30 to 7:30 with Charlotte Kading. I'm sorry, 6:45. Our next meeting, if you ask me, is a big one, and I'll tell you why. It's March 11th at 7 o'clock right here. So March 11th, it's a Wednesday, 7 o'clock right here, and we're going to do a couple of really important things. I'm going to bring 500 pre-stamped postcards, and we're going to send those postcards to purged voters, purged African American voters, in whichever state the NAACP sets us up with. So they're going to be sending us addresses, and we're going to try to bang out 500 postcards where we contact these folks and we alert them to the fact that they may have been removed from the voting registration lists. And we're going to send out 500 at our next meeting. So if you come here, we can bang that out. If I'm by myself, I estimate it'll take me about 7.5 hours, and I'll do it. But if I have 40 or 50 of my closest friends, it'll go a lot quicker. So, and in fact, just a minute, I'm going to pass around the suggested donation $5 envelope. And if you could add a few bucks to it, it's going to help pay for those postcards. They're pretty pricey. It's like $100 for a pack of 250. So I got a little bit of money, but I'll need a little bit more just to get those postcards, stamps, and all that good stuff. So that's coming around. And then finally, also on our next meeting in March, in addition to the postcards, we are also going to be signing people up. It'll be the first night you can sign up with Rise Up Mystic to be canvassers or to participate in the election process. As I've said before, we cannot wait until November, or we'll have a repeat. There's just no doubt about it. we're gonna have a repeat unless we get out there and hit the streets and canvas. It's the only way. It's the only proven method. So sign-ups begin next meeting, March 11th. So you want to be here to sign up and to start getting ready. Don't take any vacations in October. We need you here, okay? This is your vacation. We're just about to introduce our guest speaker. Are you ready anytime, Ms. Booker, too? Or you need a few minutes? You got it. So this is the part where I stall and make it seem like I've got something else to say. So in closing, I'd like to wrap this up by, did anybody see the State of the Union the other night? Okay, I understand some of you are, I do want to share with you too, I think it's important for you to know that we get it. That's also why a lot of us are here. But when I watched the State of the Union speech, I was deeply depressed. It brought me way down to hear lie after lie after lie. I mean, way, way down. I got to a point where I had to shut off the TV.
So did you miss her?
No, then I turned it back. Then I turned it back on because I was curious. So I turned the TV back on, but it brought me so low that I couldn't continue to watch it. So I did eventually have to turn a channel and put on something a little bit more uplifting, something that felt a little bit better. So I put on The Exorcist and I watched that movie, and I did feel a lot better. So I just recommend horror movies if you need to be brought up a little. I just wanted to wave to Representative Joe De La Cruz from Groton in New London. Thank you very much for coming. So he's your representative if you live in that part of Groton or New London. Joe's a good man. Thank you very much for coming. I know you probably have to come to you, but all right. So I'm going to introduce Kevin Booker. He is our guest speaker, and if you would come on up, and he's going to talk a little bit about racial injustice, and he's got a program for us. And this is what he does for a living. And I think his motto, too, if I'm not mistaken, is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I like that, because I think we all need to do that these days. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Buenos noches. Bonjour. Bon dia. Ni hao. Memenjes. Dobre utro. Namaste. Sawadi. Chawem. Manga nangu manga. Filipino. Como ye. Sopa wanang sung. Assalamu alaikum. Privet. Guten Tag. Kalamara. Konnichiwa. And as they say in Hebrew, Shalom. My name is Kevin Booker Jr. And the reason why I start off in all those different languages is because those are some of the various cultures that live within southeastern Connecticut. And many times we are oblivious to the different cultures because we stay in our own little comfort zone. So tonight I'm going to push you in this next 25 minutes, okay, to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay, and it's true, I do this work all over the country. This morning I was in Greenwich, the fifth richest county, training police officers for 6 hours. Okay, and when I pulled up in Greenwich this morning, and I'm going there for my training, I didn't realize there was a project there, a housing project, in the fifth richest county. And I said, wow, that's where all your historically disenfranchised people live in Greenwich. Okay? So there are a lot of disparities and things that happen throughout our state that we're unaware of. Okay? And this goes into policies and things within that sort of nature. Right? So today, we're going to get comfortable being what? Uncomfortable. Because a lot of times when we walk in a room, we sit down, typically with people we feel comfortable with. Right? And we never really like step out of our comfort zone to really get to know someone. And we all have this baggage that we carry with us because we've all been on this planet for a while.
Some more than others.
Some more than others, right? That's true, right? So what we're going to do today, we're going to play a little game first. Because the first thing we always should ask ourselves is, why? Why am I here today? Right? And what do I want to get out of this? Because one thing we know from being on this planet for a while, time is something we can never get back. Okay? So I'm going to play a little game with you called Guess Who. And the way Guess Who works is that you're going to figure, I'm going to read a scenario, a descriptor for you. You're going to have to tell me if the person's Latino, Asian, white, black, Native American, or biracial. And I'm going to give you an example. The reason why, because we all have judgments. Okay? I'm going to say 4 names. Okay? And I need you to be very honest in here. Okay? This is a safe space and a brave space. Okay? So I'm going to say 4 names, and I want you to say right away the racial group. Okay? So, first name, Zachary Polinsky. Come on, don't hesitate. Polish. Thank you very much, sir. All right. Next one, Maria Rodriguez. Right away. See how you didn't hesitate, right? Next one, Malik Jones. Black. Right away. You didn't hesitate. All right. Akeem Muhammad. Muslim. Right? And that's what happens when people bring in their resumes. And when resumes go across someone's desk, they see the name without even ever seeing the person. And I have students I have white students named Keisha Jones. But if her resume came across, they would think she was black. So we all have biases and what we think of people right away. So I'm going to read a descriptor, and I want you to be honest when we tally up. You can vote more than once. Okay? Yeah, I'm going to push you a little bit in here today. All right? So the first one, all right, this descriptor, this person was raised by a mother and father. Every summer they would go to their family's farm. In middle school, they wore dress clothes and carried a briefcase every day to school. And they were interested in the stock market. They have a turtle named Michelangelo. They love listening. They love hiking, running, kayaking. This person has a collection of 10,469 books. They love playing chess, listen to rock and roll music, blues, and folk. They have attended public, private, magnet, and Catholic school. When they were younger, they went to school all year round. And this person loves working with individuals who are in need. And they have a cat named Neela. Okay. All right. I know. Okay. Here I go. I'm going to go through the racial groups here. Okay. Is this person Latino? You can vote more than once. I got 1. Thank you for your honesty on that one. Okay, 1. Asian. Okay. Raise them high so I can count, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I have 8. All right, is this person white? I was logging up hands there. Okay, this is good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All right. 19. All right. Is this person black? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Is this person Native American? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Is this person biracial? It could be multiple races. Asian and white, white and Latino. Okay. I think that's probably the majority of everyone in here. Okay? So I'm just going to put everything. All right? So, the 2 highest numbers are biracial and white. Okay, I need a few volunteers as to, let's start off with white first. All right, I'm going to read the scenario again, and then I want you to give me an explanation as to why you thought the person was white, and then we'll go down to biracial. Okay, first one. The person was raised by mother and father. Every summer they would go to their family's farm. In middle school they wore dress clothes and carried a briefcase every day to school, and they were interested in the stock market. They have a turtle named Michelangelo. They love hiking, running, kayaking. They have a book collection of 10,469. They love playing chess, listen to rock and roll, blues, and folk. And they have attended public, private, magnet, and Catholic school. And they love volunteering. And they have a cat named Neela. Okay.
Something about going to school year round.
School year round, that's correct. Yeah? All right. So, for my individuals in here who have courage, okay? Right? Why did we say, I just need three individuals for time's sake. Why did we say the person is white?
Mine is Wall Street is 95% white.
Wall Street. So we're just going to put that on there, right? Wall Street. Please give it to me. What else? Farm. So we identify a farm with people typically who are white. Okay? What else?
Kayak.
Oh, gee, kayaking. Outdoors. Kayaking. Okay? Education. And what else?
Raised by a mother and father.
Raised by a mother and father. Interesting. Parents. Two parents. Okay? Man, I love this. I love the honesty in here. Please. Oh, gosh, this is awesome. All right? What else?
Catholic.
Catholic. Okay, awesome. Okay. All right. All right. Please, doctor.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys. That's to identify with whiteness. I don't know. All right, turtles in action. All right. Jeez, man. All right. Well, this is too much fun already. All right. All right. Now we're gonna go to biracial. Why biracial? That could be a makeup of two different groups. Okay. But I didn't really specify which groups. Okay. I just said biracial.
Pretty much all of the same that you put down.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Volunteer work
Volunteer work. Why? Why biracial when it comes to volunteer work?
opens the mind a little bit
Mhm.
to different people's situations.
So someone who's biracial, that opens the mind. They're a little bit more open to things because they have two different cultures.
Well-rounded.
Well-rounded.
Different aspects of
Well-rounded. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Oh, geez, one and then two.
I think it's Trevor Noah because I'm reading Noah.
Trevor Noah.
Yeah.
I'll put that on there. And why do you say Trevor Noah? The comedian
I was taking
and
the
talk
South
show
South.
host.
He's biracial. He went to private schools, public schools, because of growing up in South Africa. He had a very unusual upbringing.
Oh,
So I don't know if this was an American person.
I didn't say. No, I kept it very simple, right? In the back?
Yep.
Who?
A cat named Neela.
A cat named Neela? Why is that?
Because it's sort of a weird name. I don't recognize it.
Oh, people name their animals all kind of weird names. Thunder and Blue and Sky. All right, so
And the year-round school, that was the one that got me.
and the year-round school. Why is that?
Because that's not American.
That's not American.
No,
But it is
that's-
Asian.
But it could be Asian.
That's Asian.
Right.
It is Asian and biracial.
It's Asian and biracial. This is getting really good here. Interesting stuff.
I thought it was
Okay.
Africa.
Like at least one of the people who wasn't born in the U.S.
Mhm.
Immigrated here, like maybe from India,
Mmm.
or because they have a lot of Indians have certain qualities.
Right.
So they could be from, all those neighbors.
Right. Okay. All right. So I'm going to read it one more time. All right. And then I'm going to tell you which group. Okay? This person comes from. All right? This person was raised by a mother and father. Every summer they would go to their family's farm. In middle school they wore dress clothes and carried a briefcase every day to school. And they were interested in the stock market. They have a turtle name. Yeah. They love hiking, running, and kayaking. And they have a collection of 10,469 books. They love playing chess, listen to rock and roll, blues, and folk. They have attended public, private, magnet, and Catholic school. And they went to school all year round. And this person loves volunteering. And they have a cat named Neela. Okay. This person is me. I know. You see? But we all have implicit biases in what we think of other cultures. And yes, I went to school all year round. Yes, I did. I attended public, private, magnet, and Catholic school. And I have 4 degrees. I didn't put that on there in case somebody knew it in here. So I took that out, okay? Because I have a degree in business, political science, history, and a master's in international studies. So I went to Luna Shafee, Kingswood Oxford, Hotchkiss, East Heartland, Wilderness School. I never ever stopped going to school all year round. Okay, so I was very exposed to that.
Yeah, he wants to know.
And I went to my family's farm in Virginia, Manford, Virginia, every summer. You see? You see how we have these preconceived notions.
Dress clothes?
Dress clothes, I always wore dress clothes and suit and ties. I went to private Catholic school. So I was accustomed to dressing up and carrying a briefcase every single day.
And stock market?
That's right.
Stock market?
Stock market when I was young, 10 years old. Interested, I wanted to be Alex P. Keaton. You see? So, you get it? Like, you just never know. But what we do a lot of times, we look at the surface and we put people in a box based off of movies, things that we have seen in our lives. So when you look at life a little bit as we move forward with this, the reason why I put these dates up here, because 1896 was my grandfather. I got to meet my grandfather. My grandfather lived until I was 12 years old. My great-grandfather. My great-grandmother was born 1898. They raised me. My other grandmother, Doris Trimmer Booker, was born 1908. She died 2008. My grandfather, Joseph Booker, was born 1911. 1928, that's when my other grandmother was born. In 1932, Thomas Williams was born. Why did I put these dates up here is because 1896, 1898, those were my great-grandparents that I knew. My grandparents before that were born into slavery. I'm not that far removed. So when I talk about the things we're getting a little bit deeper into tonight, I remember that. I don't stand alone. I have my family with me as I stand here today. Because those are the people who imparted all that knowledge and wisdom into me so I can do the work I do. So as you see, I was raised by these people who were born in those years. We're not that far removed from those years. Breathe in on 1, exhale on 2. Breathe in on 1, exhale on 2. Breathe in on 1, exhale on 2. Sometimes we forget as we just moving along in the journey, our own journeys as well. Okay? So our population in the state of Connecticut is 3,573,000 people. Now why do I bring that up? Because when you look at the state of Connecticut, there are 169 towns and municipalities. Right? 149 towns are predominantly white. 20 towns in the state of Connecticut are where people who have been historically disenfranchised live. $149 are what?
Mostly white.
White. That's why someone who looks like myself have to wear a suit every day. Because I'm meeting people who think sometimes, oh my God, you've skinned my rubble mind. You see? It's funny, but the reality is, these are, I know, but the reality is, these are thoughts that we all have and biases we all have. Okay? It's just the reality. Okay? Just like when I think about, when I showed you those dates, my grandparents were used to seeing people lynched. See? And I grew up with them. So so when I went to an all-white town, I gotta go, oh my gosh, you know, I remember like thinking that in my own head. Like, wow, well, did something happen to me? But I have the courage to take that leap of faith, even in 2020, because we still have 100 sundown towns. Okay?
Does everybody know what a sundown town is?
No, what's a sundown town, sir?
You gotta stay in after dark.
That's correct. 1950 in Portland, Connecticut. Italians could not cross that bridge after 8 o'clock. In 1950 in Portland, Connecticut. If you were Italian American. Because they were discriminated against Italians. That's not that long ago. I didn't say blacks. I didn't say Latinos. I said Italian Americans. The data is there. You want it, I'll send you the link. Okay? This is in the state of Connecticut. Alright? So scientifically, it has been proven that we are 99.5% the same. Now, what separates us? What are we here today to discuss? What's that physiology that's really separating us more than anything is 0.5%. That's that physiology when you look at someone. And then I always say to myself, and I think of Dr. Charles Drew, right? Dr. Charles Drew, he actually was a person who invented the storage of blood plasma, right? He was a black man. When he invented blood plasma in 1950, what they wanted to do was they wanted to segregate African American blood from everyone else, right? 1950. So I said to myself, geez, just like Dr. Charles Drew, if we're so different, how am I able to donate blood to anyone else or you? But we get so caught up with what? Those differences. Say it again?
Superficial characteristics.
Superficial characteristics.
But they're literally the most
Right.
superficial layer of our body.
Right. And how do we become socialized? I'm going to give you guys a scenario of how we become socialized within our own community. This is Groton, right? Now let's say I live in Knowing, right? There's a family that lives in Knowing, right? There's a white family that lives in Knowing, okay? So we got to put racial dynamics in this. Paint the picture a little bit more. Now when you think of New London, you think of what? Is there a lot of white people that live in New London, or is it a little bit more diverse racially? Racially, right? And even in certain communities, you have pockets where maybe those communities might be a little bit more segregated as far as their racial makeup, right? So let's say you have a white family from Knowing, okay? And they have little Zachary and Zoe in the back seat. And it's a warm, sunny day, okay? Zachary is 5 years old, little Zoe is 3. So they see the windows are down, it's warm outside, parents have the windows down, the doors are unlocked, you know, they're driving, they're playing Journey, they have Journey playing in the car, they're cruising, and then they get into New London, and they start driving down Truman Street. And the parents roll the windows up, and they lock the doors. They never ever said anything to the children. But because of the way we communicate as human beings, 93% of the way we communicate is nonverbal communication. Only 7% is verbal. So little Zachary and Zoe are in the back seat, and they're watching their parents' body language shift and change. And they're 5 and 3. And they look out the window, you can see their little eyes looking out the window, and they go, wow, the people look a little different. The community looks a little different. So should I be fearful of these individuals that are in this community? So you see, as they get older, what does that tell them? as children. That maybe I should not go to this area, or maybe I shouldn't be around these individuals, even though their parents never ever said that to them. Does that make sense? Okay.
My mother used to do that.
See?
Isn't that awful? Sorry.
So you see how we all have been socialized in our own ways? Okay. So as we move forward, the reason why I put these individuals up here, because a lot of times in life, what we do, we think we can identify someone based off the physiology and the way they look. These are 8 individuals, black individuals, who pass for white. You see, many African Americans would actually pass for white based off the history. I don't have a lot of time here to get all in deep into the history, why you got the 1-drop rule and everything else as well. That's for another session. But so you have a gentleman here. His name is, they go him by the name of Logic, and this gentleman, he talks a lot about, in his music, about passing for white. Mariah Carey, who's a singer, her father was black Venezuelan, and her mother was Irish. Okay? And then you have Walter White. He's a very interesting historical figure. He was a black gentleman, went to a HBCU, a historically black college and university as well. And the reason why we're able to actually have the recordings of lynchings in America is because of Walter White, who was a black gentleman that could pass for white. And what he would do, his story is fascinating. When you really look, read Walter White's, even his biography. And what Walter White would do is, in New York City, was with the headquarters of the NAACP. And there was a woman by the name of Ida B. Wells, who was really passionate about recording lynchings that took place in America, making sure everything was documented. And then Walter White, but the historians leave out, what did Walter White do? So let's say if a lynching occurred in Ohio, and they said, we're going to have a picnic. Okay? Because picnic means pick a... That's correct. Right? I know it's vulgar, but it's real. It's raw. Okay? That's correct. All right? It's a safe space. All right? And that's correct. That's exactly what they would do. And they would take pieces of the meat and use them as souvenirs. And then my grandparents showed all the postcards from all over the country that will go out throughout the entire country. So during that time period, Walter White, who was a black gentleman, would go into these areas, into the white mobs, and say, excuse me, sir, there was a lynching that occurred here? And they would go, yeah, we lynched him right over there, and we burned him to the stake. He would go, wow, that is really interesting. I'm writing for this paper, so I'm going to take down the records here. Tell me exactly what happened, where did it occur? And before they would find out he was black, he would be on a train out of that state. So when you think about what exactly does color mean, it gets a little complicated at times. Okay? Meghan Markle. Who's Meghan Markle? The Duchess. A lot of times when people see her, if we didn't really know that her mother was African American, would we think so at times? But we just accept it now because we know it in the media. It's something that we have actually seen within our own lives now, right? So we know right away, yeah, she's biracial. But if we didn't know that, would we really put her in that box? Vanessa Williams. And this gentleman here is a historical figure born the same time. He came up with the case around the same time my grandfather was born. His name is Homer Plessy. You see, Homer Plessy, famous case called Plessy versus Ferguson. Homer Plessy was a black man who could pass for what? White. You see, you look at him, he walked in this room, you would think he was a white man. But he was black. And he wanted to challenge the system. And he said, geez, I'm a black man. I pass for white. I want to challenge the system. I want to see what exactly, do I get the same rights as someone else based off my skin color? According to the Constitution, they said, no, you should have 1 drop of black blood. You're still black. You look at this man, in your eyes, based off your years of experience on this planet, does he look black to you? No. Homer Plessy. And the next gentleman, I remember when I was coming up as a kid, Governor Wilder, the first African-American governor of Virginia. And one of the reasons why they said he actually got elected a lot of times because he could pass for white. You see how this stuff becomes really complex at times. And when I think about it, I think about passing for white. I think about individuals who deal with issues when it comes to passing for white. Marco Favetti, who's an Italian gentleman that I know. My views. What are your views, Marco?
Well, listen, Booker, I'll just get straight to the point. Because nowadays, sir, if you dare to be different, they hate, they stare, and they point. Yo, they laugh and they say things under their breath. But since they don't value themselves well, I guess there's nobody else to respect. But I'm going to never let their comments change how I'm living. Because it's the ones who wasn't cool in school who come here making a difference. For me, only one way to live, and that's free. Listen, I'm free from lies, free from pain, free no change, freedom reigns for those with the right mindset. But nowadays, Booker, the truth is like a secret. Shh, they're making it hard for you to find it. But I'm this, I'm free from what they think. After all, they just thought, see, now it's only me. My friends are supposed to help me stop the lie, but it got bought. And God's saying, I made my people to thrive yet. Y'all satisfied with the fact you ain't died yet before 25? We gotta do better. Because here comes the winter. I buckled up and I came up with a plan of the summer. And Booker, who says I'm not a man of color?
Say what, Marco?
I said, who says I'm not a man of color? Man, who says I'm not one of the brothers? Because the definition of a brother is another equal human being who's running the same race. So whoever said unity was limited to one race, straight lie through their teeth. Listen, I am unique. And there's nobody like me. So I came here to Groton Public Library to turn down the volume of anybody wanting to stereotype me. Yo, I moved from the inner city to a small town, not even a city. You with me? Listen, but I was different from the jump. I moved from New Britain trying not to get jumped to living in a white town, being profiled by police without a black face, but they identified my speech and my style of clothes with the black race, so they would tell me to stop, lay flat face on the pavement. And that made me just hate them. And this would happen often, bruh. But what's ironic is the only one that helped me was the only black officer. So, to all my young canvases, do not leave your brush in the world's hands. They'll try painting you. And that's a message for us all. Why? They might write crayons for black paper too. So I gotta be careful how I'm speaking to them. That's why I only write what the truth is with my truth pen. I came to stop the lies so the truth win. Because these words cut deep, they're sunk in forever on the hearts of young men. Because I see these fake rappers, same color, going hustle and trap them. So why gotta be the one to speak up for the black youth? Wait. That's just so they can stop and see my views. Yo, imagine my life. I'm like a blank outline. This white skin makes it perfect for them to try to color me in with all their ideas and opinions of who I should be. But if I listen, I'd still be in that prison. I would have never caught the vision who I could be. So I won't let them lie to me. Like how diversity is really just variety, but nowadays it turns into bullying and segregation. In a world of more, not less, why we all staying limited, narrow-minded, and racist? Man, I hate this. And I hate that I hate this. But at the same time, y'all, with hate, how can I erase this? So I come here to tackle the issue by spreading love all on my pages. I'm different. And we all heard the saying, get in where you fit in. But I'm here to tell you that if you never step out, you're never going to make a difference. Those are my views.
Ooh.
Marco Favetti is a poet. Can you tell him a little bit, before I move forward with this, a little bit as to why you wrote that particular poem about my views, being a white man, addressing an issue with like race and color? Okay.
So like I said, I grew up in a small town, not even a city. And I was different from the jump. I went to New Britain, which was an urban city, you know, trying not to get jumped because I remember riding my bicycle. See, I learned there was two types of different races to different people, that you can't judge people based on their race because there's two types of people, there's good and bad. So when I moved to New Britain, Connecticut, I grew up there, I had a Spanish family that lived upstairs from my mom's house. Amazing family. My mom would work 2 jobs, my dad wasn't around. He was hustling, selling drugs. And the Spanish family upstairs took care of me, invited me in. That's the first time I got to taste of that good Spanish food. Never turned back. They take care of me. Their sons were my best friends. They loved me, supported me, helped me. Then I would go on my paper route and drive my nice BMX bike that my family was able to afford to get me. And I would have to run from the gangs in New Britain, the Solids, the Latin Kings, and they were Hispanic. So now I'm seeing two things. I'm seeing Hispanics in the bad form and Hispanics in the good form. And I'm trying to decipher so are Hispanics bad or good? Then I started to grow up and learn that it's about the person, not the race. So I had to, especially being Italian, I would come home and my father would be like, because I like Hispanic girls, so I would come home and my father, who's Italian, hardcore Italian, would always make little comments like, oh, when are you going to date a white girl? You know, so I grew up with these and when I grew up in the inner city, it was about Spanish people, had a lot of people, they drove in their cars. We would make these little tiny racist jokes, like 7 Puerto Ricans in a Toyota Corolla, and that was funny to us. And we would make these little racist jokes that were so harmless, but when I started to grow older and become a man, I realized we're very discriminatory. It was it was discrimination. So I had to separate myself from that. And I had to learn to just see people for people. Whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Latino, Filipino, Asian, Native American, I learned to identify people with their characters, with their integrity, with who they are, with what they say, not from where they came from. So when I wrote that poem, it was to tell the young people that no matter where you come from, you can do anything in life. And don't let anybody stereotype you or try to color you in or try to make you out to be who you're not. So when I moved to Plainville, it was a white town, predominantly. We're talking about statistics. There wasn't a lot of African American or Hispanic people like New Britain. But, like I said, they identified me in the way I talked, the way I walked, my culture, what I brought to that city. And I was, from 16 years old, I got arrested. My mom was going to move me to Plainville High School from New Britain because we moved to the town. I went to explore the high school. I got profiled and arrested at 16 years old. Never saw a cop in my life. Never had an encounter with police. My first encounter was, get on the floor. You're in a school. They asked me where I was from. I said Plainville, which is the town I was in. Where's your address? I don't know. What's your phone number? I had just moved there a week ago. So they thought I was lying. So they literally arrested me for criminal trespass. A teacher lied and said that I was spray painting the school, which I had no friends out there. I was all by myself. So my first encounter with police and with that community was they threw me in jail at 16 years old. And let me tell you, that started a trend in my life of in and out of prison, in and out of jails, in and out of trouble with the law. It gave me a bad taste for the law. So I wrote that poem, my views to it, finally just expressed and put it out there so I could create awareness for other people, you know, and let them know that you can be anybody you can be, and you can get to know a person based on good or bad, not based on black, white, Hispanic, or any race out there. Because when I talk about brotherhood in the poem, I said, because when I grew up, it was like, the black people would be like, what's up, brother? I like that. So I would call my friends brother. But I would be made fun of. Yo, you're not a brother. We say that. Or I would be called names like Wigger, because I like poetry. So it was the N-word with a white twist. And because I grew up writing poetry, and I like to express myself musically, I would be called these names, and it really had a long-lasting effect on me growing up as a man. And it took me a while to really just break that wall, those stereotypes down, you know? And stepping out here and speaking about it is my way of doing that. And so, I'll tell you what, dealing with all that in my life, it could have made me bitter. It could have made me racist. It could have allowed hate to dwell. As a young man, it did. I had a bad rapport with the police in my town. It was bad. It wasn't until I moved to New London, Connecticut, 2015. I met a guy by the name of Anthony Nolan. And Anthony Nolan is a New London police officer. And when I moved out here, I was driving down the street on my bike. And I saw Anthony Nolan waving at cars going by in his uniform. I said, what the heck is this? A cop is waving at people? And I went to a community event in the park. And Anthony Nolan was there, high-fiving kids. I was like, what is this? The cops are at the community events too? So it really allowed me to see another view of cops. Not as good or bad. I got to finally see through all that and let go of everything I've been through in my past in this one city and allow me to start fresh and brand new with a new mindset and a new perspective of what police are. And now the police in my community are my friends. The police in the community are brothers to me. The police in the community are asset to me. You know, when I try to bring that message to schools, because there's a huge negative out there when it comes to police, especially with all that we've been through and over the past few years. It's so bad. I talk to young people, but I'm grateful for New London because it's really, I see it as breaking down, in my eyes, in my experience, I see it as breaking down those stereotypes. So that's what my views is all about. It's about my personal experience as a white man growing up in an urban community and having to be, tackle racism from what I grew up to see, from my own experiences, and break that down as a man now at 35 years old, and break that down and go out there and bridge the gap. So thank you.
Thank you. Are all white people racist? No. Are black people all criminals? Are Hispanics car thieves? Are Asians all great in science? No. But we put people in a group. We say they're all a monolithic group. Just kind of like earlier when I read the descriptor of myself. You never would have thought I was a little kid at 10 reading the stock market. I always wore suits. But the depiction of what you have in your head, we put people in boxes. I have a good friend of mine who was an Irish gentleman, right? He's one of my closest friends. And he said to me, Kevin, I hate when people put me as a white man in a box. Because I'm not like other white men. And I said, I know. I hate when people put me in a box as a black man because I'm different. I never even learned about sports until I was 22. I never played sports. My father would never allow me to play sports. But we put people what? In boxes. And that's what Marco's story is really about at the end of the day. How he couldn't be himself in the community where he was. Defining who you are. When you look at the state of Connecticut, the disparities in Connecticut, 2013, 36% of Connecticut's personal income tax revenue came from just 10 towns. The largest gap between the richest 1% and the poorest 99% in the whole country. Okay? So now we're looking at how even class and race, all that plays a role. Okay? Now, the reason why I brought class and race into this is because there's a history of how things came to be the way they are. My grandparents came here during the last wave of black migration. There were 6 million African Americans that left the South from 1910 to 1970. 6 million. From underemployment and domestic terrorism. I'm going to say that again. Underemployment and domestic terrorism. 6 million. That's the reason why the northern cities started shifting in the 1950s and 60s. And then when they got here, redlining took place. Now my grandmother was a nurse. My grandfather was a businessman. But they shift people in certain communities, and this is where we want you to live. That's how New London became the way it is. That's how Hartford became the way it is. New Haven. And then you had white flight that took place in the 60s. And the realtors made a lot of money. I see some people a little bit seasoned in this room. They remember when that occurred. Seasoned. You like that? Okay? So, when people think of abolishment of slavery, slavery didn't take place right away. As far as the abolishment, federally it did. But when it comes to statewide, it was completely different. When people recognized that people should be free. Okay? So, 1864, Mississippi officially abolished slavery off their state records in what year? 2013.
Oh my God.
You got to get out of your box, the bubble, okay? Because it's really fascinating when you start really thinking about the entire state. That's why we're in the situation we are politically. Not everyone has the same mindset. That's why I'm addressing this. Okay? All right? Other states who did not accept the ratification right away. Oregon, December 8, 1865. California, December 19, 1865. But I go a little bit later. Texas, 1870. Delaware, 1901. Kentucky, March 18th, 19 what?
76.
76. States. Some of you should see your faces right now. Wow. I wish I had a little more time and stuff, but yeah, fascinating. Okay, so I want you to think about this because there's some activists in this room. Okay, because you're taking time out of your night, right? When you think about just this, what I'm showing you here, think about the political state we're in now. So the mindset, it's not new. What's new, what we have now is social media. That's the beauty of it. So now we can see what's going on. But we also have to take action within ourselves and organize. And that's why this is important. Okay? So I'm just showing you something here as far as for individuals who wanted to see little things as far as contributions because of Black history. I added this in here. Okay? So contributions that African Americans have made: gospel, R&B, rap, rock and roll. Okay?
Stoplight.
I'm going to get to that in a minute. Rock and roll, pop, jazz. All right? Rock and roll, I didn't even know until I was in Memphis, Tennessee. Ike Turner was the first person to record a rock and roll song.
Rock 88.
That's correct. Ragtime, blues, folk, bebop. These are just a few. The light bulb, Lewis Latimer, 1876. The filament in the light bulb. That's exactly what Lewis Latimer contributed to the light bulb. The fireproof safe, the super soaker, the video game console, 3D film graphics, the blood bank, the elevator design, the pacemaker control unit, railway telegraph, air conditioning unit, the cell phone. They have a documentary coming out on that on Netflix soon. Henry Sampson, who never received credit for creating the cell phone. Peanut butter, potato chips, the traffic light, the mop, the guitar, the mailbox, the lawnmower, the almanac, the fire extinguisher, the TV remote control, the bicycle frame, refrigeration, golf tee, but I thought blacks never play golf. Portable pencil sharpener, dry cleaning, the list just goes on and on and on.
Gas mask.
Yeah, the gas mask, Garrett Morgan again. The list goes on and on and on. Now, why do I even bring this to your attention? Because every single culture has contributed. Every single culture has contributed to the way we live. But we never take that in consideration when we walk in a room. So I walk in a room a lot different than most people. When I walk in a room, I think right away Lewis Latimer. When I'm using a printer, I go, oh yeah, geez, Chinese people really contributed to the printing press. When I see kids playing lacrosse, I think of Native Americans. And people say, oh, it's a white sport. I go, but Native Americans created lacrosse. You see, my mindset is a little different because I push myself to make sure I educate myself on different things. So now when I sit down and I'm having a conversation with someone, I walk in a room, I look at the room a little different. I just don't look at the room as what someone has taught me. I try to go above and beyond what I'm learning to see how we all contribute. to this culture. So then when you sit down with someone, you have a different amount of respect for them as well. Because when you think about even some of those inventions, I just put this for Black history. Next month is women's history. My list is even longer. Okay? For women. Right? And I always say her story needs to be told. So, why do you think I actually put a spotlight on just some of these inventions? Why would I do that in this presentation?
They don't get credit.
Women do not get credit. Other cultures, right? And it's important to also open your mind to it in case you didn't know about it as well. Because maybe you'll research.
Well, because if you listen to our government, they would say no immigrant ever contributed.
That's right.
So, you know.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. So when I think about education, I always think about the former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, who served 27 and a half years for a crime he never committed. And when he got out, he was never bitter. He said, you know, I really want to create change for my nation. And I remember, and I know there's another gentleman in here who's been to South Africa, and he shared a story with me, and he's in this room now, and he shared a really interesting story with me about walking in his cell, and how small his cell was when he walked in his cell. And imagine just staying in that cell for 27 and a half years, looking out that little small window, and not being bitter. And what Nelson Mandela said was, education is the most powerful tool you can use to change what? The world. Read 40, 50 books on diversity and biographies, but what's really preventing you from moving forward? What are you really afraid of? I want you to really think about that as we move forward. Because in a few minutes, I'm gonna need your help to move this school forward. Because what happened 5 years to me, I was in an educational workshop. And someone said to me, they said, Mr. Booker, by the time a child gets into third grade, if they cannot read or write efficiently, that's how researchers determine how many juvenile prison cells they should build. Third grade. So, and I'm coming back to that question I asked you, okay, because I need you. This is not a waste of time tonight. I need you, desperately. So there's a sheet of paper in front of you right now. I have 276 sheets of paper all around you. That's Isaac Middle School. I'm on the board of directors here. So what do I need from you? Isaac, right now, and many other schools in our area, they have low reading and math scores. That's a middle school. Right. So if you turn the paper over that you have in front of you, I created a template. And what I need from you, it says, Dear Isaac students. Okay, dear Isaac student, I want you to write a positive affirmation. Because in another 3 more weeks, they have testing. Testing. And testing is occurring, and that's also how they get federal funding for their schools. And for their particular school. So what we're going to do tonight, before we leave here, we're going to write a positive affirmation for each student. So when they actually have to take their test in 3 weeks, they look at that positive affirmation from one of you when they get in their test booklet, and they go, you know what, maybe mom, maybe dad, maybe grandma didn't speak to them that morning, but now they have something from you. And they open it up and they go, you know what, someone believes in me. And this is in our community. And this is what we do in our community. We come together as a collective so we can move our children forward. That's dealing with those inequities and inequalities that exist. We have to work in our own community first. And this is one of the first steps that we can take. And we can do this tonight. 276 kids. And I'm going to collect all of them. And I gave you samples right here on your table right now. You need pens. Jason's going to come around right now with the pens. And each one of us are going to work on it.